Thursday, May 20th, 2021, 5:23 a.m. And so we are sitting right in yesterday's range and in the lower edge of yesterday's value area, just above the value area low. So that's what we're looking at. We have about an hour and a half till the open. So expectation would be to possibly come down and test yesterday's low, which is also very close to the overnight low as well. At about 2 a.m. we have this big imbalance move down, so I could see us filling in some of this space, coming up and to test the VPOC from yesterday. And this is also a fairly significant unfair price between these two value areas, between yesterday's value area high and the day before from Tuesday's range. So that's kind of pretty straightforward for today. On the 5-minute, you can see this is kind of where we are here in this low volume node right here. So any long trades up here to fill in this space are definitely valid. Issue with that, as we can see on the 1 minute, is we are trading directly into this untested supply. So I'm cautiously looking towards any of these longs. If I would have got here around 4 a.m. after this supply had already been tested all the way up to here, so any of these low tick failures here to come up into take out these highs, that was definitely valid. It's always tempting to kind of try to pick a failure off of this, and I think looking back over the last few days, that's what has potentially got me into some trouble, is finding any setup or trigger and then testing directly or taking aggressive longs or shorts directly into untested demand and supply, which is definitely risky. If I have a de-risk point at some point, if I have an aggressive de-risk where I can get my risk off, then that's a little more reasonable. But trading directly into these untested levels can be a little bit dangerous. Expectation is for this area to hold, and we had this imbalance move down and a sharp rejection, and I put an order in here at 62, and on the pullback did not get filled. So I've pulled that order so far. Want to see what happens when we come down, and if we test this, it doesn't look like we're going to get a chance to, but it looks like to me this high is weak. We're holding this structure and would like to see it move into this 88, 89 area minimum. Like I mentioned before, we are testing into fresh supply, but this high has been put in weak here. So if we can move up above this and get an entry into here, and an ability to de-risk somewhere into, definitely into a break of these highs or into this area. If I would have been at 62, it would have been above these bar highs, and then that would have given me some room to work with the trade, even coming into the fresh supply with 10 ticks of room to work with there. But now I'm just going to kind of wait, and we'll see what happens.
Had an order, or still do have an order in here at 55. We came down and tested this lower range and rejected sharply, and we had this strong imbalance here, and then we put in this fairly large absorption here. So I was hoping to get a pullback on this and lean on this volume, and then it's a little risky because we have all this space back below here down to the 30, 37, and my entry was like 55 to come up and break these highs here these weak highs here, to come up at least into this 89 area. But as it goes, the problem always is that when these moves, these sharp imbalance moves come in, a lot of shorts are trapped here, more shorts are trapped here, and price just doesn't come back. So then and if it does come back, generally I'm wrong on the trade, and I always get my fill, and then I get taken out for a loss. But I will probably leave this order in, and see what happens if we do get a small pullback to the volume, and before moving higher. I just pulled my order. I mean, we're basically coming up to break these highs already. There it goes. And even if I did get a pullback to this area, then I would be below this structure, and there'd be trouble in front of the trade. So just having to watch it go without me. So this was the exact expected move. And being that we are into fresh supply, doesn't necessarily have to get up into this 88 area. That was my expectation, though, to fill in this space. Could turn around anywhere. There could be sellers in here anywhere that could step in again, but that's frustrating, to identify the setup in the trade and not be able to get in. I mean, I could obviously have gotten in up here, but when this doesn't hold, then I 63, and where do I put my stop? Where am I wrong on this? Not down to like 38, so 25, 30 ticks. That doesn't work. That doesn't fit my edge or my plan. So just have to watch it and wait for the next setup and see what happens. But there's a lot of space above here as well. If we continue to find buyers here, and we have the overnight here, the overnight high at 97, and so a lot of room to go higher. 63.97, so that's way higher than where we are right now. So could potentially come back and visit the VPOC at 63.35 and all the way into this flip zone that I talked about earlier. Here's the 86, so almost up to that 89 right there. So perfect trade, identified exactly back to where I expected it to go, and there's the 89 number. So that's a 40 tick trade. Missed out. Tried another long here after we moved to my previous target. Put in a new, well, not a new, but an overnight, this overnight high right here. And I mean, not even overnight high, but then this little range, this little volume, this little value area, and we put in another new high, pushed up, not on real high volume, and then we came down, put in this super high volume, and then this imbalance up, and I was trying to get a pullback back to this 88 to come back, and never quite did. Again, missing the fills because of lacks of pullbacks, but that's how it goes when you're trying to trade the pullback trades. But I mean, with the pullback, putting my stop below here at 79, I'm still at about a 9 tick stop. I really don't want to take stops any larger than that. I guess Kelly talks about this, is that if it works out and your read is correct, you can take the wider stops because it doesn't end up coming back. But when you're wrong, and being that where my read has been and my low win rate, that taking real large stops on trades may not be a real good idea, because all of a sudden then I'm increasing my average loss. And if I'm right, then it works out. But if I'm wrong, then I'm taking full stops, 10, 15, 20 tick stops. And if I still have a really low win rate, that's not going to work out for me. All right, trying the long again. I finally got a fill, pulled back to trouble. This huge, massive amount of absorption coming in here, and a little breakdown back to this trouble here. And after that, I've entered right at the volume. You see this real large volume coming in here. I'm going to be looking to take this off into probably into the VPOC, the break of this high here. But we really have space all the way up into this 43 number. So we'll see if I can get that without any kind of a pullback here. We'll see. But the volume is really supporting this trade. This volume needs to hold here. It's real massive absorption here.
There are some issues for this trade. We have this high tick here, which we're testing into right now, and this was fairly significant volume. It's on the number bars, quite a bit of volume up here and unfair price. So I want to watch this and see what happens when we come back and test that area. And we're testing the volume now. So I would really want this to hold here. This is the moment of truth on this trade. I want this last little push down to hold here, so I have moved my stop to entry, and if we can get above these highs and hold that volume, I think I will be in good shape on this one. Anything can happen though. And I will be targeting 43 on this trade up to this value area here to fill in this space. Once we flush the high at 26, I'll watch it and manage it real close. I mean, being that I'm at 20 ticks on that number, so see what the flush happens in it. I'll switch to the number bars and see if I can kind of manually manage the trade from there. Not looking good. We had this volume here come in and smash price down. This seller come in here, and looks like I'm not right on this trade unless we get, this is a break, kind of a false breakout here, but now we have this volume above. So at that point I really didn't want to be below that volume, so I went to +1 on that trade. So +1 went to 18, which was about 13 on my trade, but wanting to see the flush of those highs to see what we could do. We had some major activity coming in here again, this time on the offer, and I suspect that this was kind of a shakeout before the move up. So I didn't want to take the 10-15 ticks of drawdown, but now here we are 16, and my entry was 05, so things are looking good. And now we push up above and hold this volume from above. I would again my expectation would be to break the highs and move higher for that flush of the high up to VPOC at the 38, and even possibly up to test the overnight high at the 64 round number. So my idea on this market changed pretty quickly when we moved up. First we had this high tick here, then all of this heavy absorption coming in on all of these bars. Now this short, I am in a short right now. It does have some issues here coming into this fresh demand here, but we're testing that right now, so my risk is off, looking for this to hold now and to come down and break this high, these weak lows down into this previous structure here and this low volume node. So into the 73 is my final target on this one. Kind of long. Hopefully I can lock in something here. Expectation would be that we could definitely come back into this trouble at 93, and I don't really want to sit through that, but we may have to do that. Definitely want to wait for these lows to break here, and this is the initial balance lows last time where we found buyers here, but I mean this has been tested 3 times here, so I expect this to go and to move into this low volume area to fill this in. So we'll see if it plays out. Could, like I said, I'm testing these untested bar highs here, but this fresh demand into the 68 would also be a real reasonable area to target. I'll watch it and see what happens, but I'll probably just take it off at the 73. Because after this move down as well, we're going to have a lot of this space that could be filled back in, so I don't really want to watch that happen. So I'm going to switch here to the number bars and see what kind of volume we have coming in. Nothing real big, nothing real crazy yet, so I would expect this flush. And you can see on this profile, on the dome profile too as well, this is real thinly traded in this 70 area. So I am going to lock in 20 here real quick at 83, and hopefully we can get this final flush. Some real big volume coming in here now. looks like I'm going to get taken out at 83. And it looks like those bar highs are going to, I mean, we already went down to the 74. I moved my target down a little bit to the 71. And we're going to see if we can flush it right here. It's looking good though. It's looking good. We're at the 75. I'm going to lock in 23. Some big volume, this volume here. And let's see if we can get that final flush down. It's looking like it's having a little trouble though. I'm probably gonna, yeah, I'll take it. I got taken out at 79, which is okay. A lot of large volume coming in here, and that kind of coincides with this area here. So to take it off at the 73, that's exactly what I said. That was the number to the tick where this large volume came in, and I still think we're probably likely to push down through there, but I'll take it off at I don't know, whatever I ended up taking it on. I ended up getting 24 on it, so that's nice, especially after my frustration in the morning with missing the several longs and then getting taken out on this try at break even. So that's great. If I leave it at that for the day, then that'll be real nice. So if I would have taken that off at 73, that would have been a full 30 where we've hit now, and now we can see that we're really coming close into this origin of this demand zone. So 69 would have been a good area too, but 73, I mean, I probably should have just held for that number, but when this really high volume started coming in here, it made me a little nervous, and with all this space back above, we could have easily seen a retrace back to 95, so almost taking all of my profit off on that trade. So anywhere in here, it's a good exit, but 73 is the difference between 24 and 30, so that would have been nice. But now here we are, 70, almost to the tick. 69, 68 is the origin of this move, and we can see too what really supports that target is this low volume node here. The lowest volume really in here is this 70 number. So that's what I found recently as well, is that these low volume areas are just so reliable for reversals in price, because they're found to be unfair. I mean, that's what they represent. You can see here on this high, where did it come to? This low volume node, the lowest volume area, which also coincides with this flip here, kind of this unfair price on this side. Makes a lot of sense, but easier said than done. Trading it and it making sense are two totally different things. So not much to do here, stuck between two ranges really. And with the large volume that came in here, I'd be leery of taking longs also into this. We got trouble above here, and this trouble holding from below. So kind of call this no man's land between this value here and this value here, kind of this double distribution profile right now we have. So there is some volume coming in here at the lows. Definitely some kind of absorption or buying. So want to see what happens when we test this low. We're either going to hold these lows and flush and hold this value here and move higher, or we will accept previous value and move lower, possibly to continue down into this range and down into the overnight low. That would be my expectation anyway, and how quickly that can change, as we just saw. But on the 15, we can see that this overnight low has been tested. This was yesterday's low, and then the overnight low has tested that area, so that's twice already. Beyond that, we are in kind of a weird situation where we are above this structure. This is the same thing as the two value areas. We're kind of splitting that right here, and we are in this crucial kind of flip area of this low volume node in this profile here. And this value and this value above. So it's hard to say. Same thing, are we going to hold this and move back into this range, or move lower and then get back into this range to test this? So, I mean, we've really been in this overall larger composite value area for a long time, really ever since February. This is a really big value area range here. You can see this is all just kind of this double distribution profile here, and we're sitting right at the decision point here. Tried for a long here, but now that we've broken up above and tested into this trouble, I had taken it off, breaking these highs. As soon as we failed the test of these lows and getting back into value, we put in this large absorption here and pushed higher. Unfortunately, it just ripped up. So not really sure when we came directly. So now at least this has been tested, but I'm not going to be entering after a break of these highs. And my ideal entry was around the 74 area if these highs hadn't been taken out. But see, so now what we have is, if I would enter on a pullback there, we've tested this trouble, but now we're also failing this lower side of value here, and then we would be back into this kind of no man's land. But a long try after this absorption and low tick failure makes more sense before breaking these highs, but now not so much. Alright, just got through the live session and was trying to pay attention, and it was pretty slow anyway. Finally took another long here, and I've been trying to get a long for a while. Missed the long down here off of this area, didn't come back and get my fill, but finally was patient enough, and we just put in this massive volume. I'd say that word too much, probably massive, but this huge volume and this absorption, and then we get this imbalance up. So this is the kind of trade I like to be in, and not saying it's going to work out, not saying that it's perfect, but it's nice to have absorption like that and get the imbalance above and have a good price. Now, doesn't mean that it can't come back here. I would expect it to come back even to my entry here, but I'm probably going to keep my risk a little bit below, probably at this 93 area still, and it looks like it's going to come back and test it. But it seems like now we have definitely have some shorts trapped here, and potentially to come up and break these highs. That'll be my D-risk, and up through that 26 high. It's definitely testing me. Could have been taken out break even. It sucks to see it go all the way up to like that 10 area and then come back here to my entry, but gotta give it some time. Gotta give it some space to work out, and these highs are definitely weak. Seem very weak now. So to take that off before I get a chance one way or the other, so I'm either going to take a loss here, leaving my stop below the volume, or I'm going to let it break those highs, and then that'll be my D-risk. But it's kind of, it sucks to be chopping around and being comfortable in this uncomfortable spot. But I would say it's not looking real good without another test of this volume here. So maybe I'll get lucky. It's just so hard, the training of going through this process of, man, I want to take off the risk, but then I would have been taken out of this trade again. And then scratching my head and saying, well, why did I take my risk off? Because the highs hadn't been broken. But all of this is likely. It's to be expected. So it's just emotionally hard to sit through. And like Kelly says so many times, the market could care less about my entry. It's meaningless. So I'm not wrong on this trade yet. So it's just uncomfortable because of my mentality of not wanting to take a loss, but missing out on the opportunity of the trade by de-risking early and taking. I mean, I do want to see this go here pretty quickly. It needs to take out this high, but until it does that, I really shouldn't mess with it too much. So here we're gonna get another try at it. And now if I get new information and really large volume or something comes in on this, then that'll be a reason to possibly take off my risk. But the volume after this large absorption here has not changed. So we're getting a little bit in coming in here. So we'll see how that handles it when we I mean, now that's more than significant. So are we going to pop here or are we going to rip lower? It's hard to say, but I like it because now we are putting in this really big absorption and we're on the right side of it. So at this point, I'm going to be managing this close and looking to get my risk at +1 here. But now it's looking really good. I'm liking this trade more and more. But it was super uncomfortable. I mean, you can see it came back down here multiple times to where, and now here we are again. And that's not good. I'm not liking that at all. But I am going to de-risk here. And probably going to get taken out. But after all this talking, but I mean, this is massive absorption here, one way or the other. Is this seller stepping in, or is this, I don't know exactly what it is, but we got to be on the right side of this. So I do not want to see this hold and a spike down below my entry, because then we're on the wrong side of some very heavy volume. So all this is the mental process that I'm trying to work through. So this is the stuff that really tests you. But like I said, if we come back down and spike down below this, then we don't want to be on the lower side of this, because then I would expect this to hold and move lower. So that's what I love about the number bars. And bam, there we go. There's the release. And now I would expect the top side of this to hold and to go up and grab our 26. Now where I'm not going to take it off into the 26 because I do expect the flush of these numbers, but now we have to kind of identify where are we likely to go. We don't have anything else really to lean on. This 26, 28, and then into here we have definitely some weakness, but this is the 37 is the VPOC, so any of that would be a decent area to target, but nothing real specific. So I'll be looking to manage it based on just order flow and what we see on that flush. But once I get to that 20 tick plus mark, which would be 19, I'll be looking to aggressively manage this and take risk off. But we'll see what kind of flush. I have a feeling that we are probably going to see a pretty good release of liquidity, because we have been in such a tight range today, and now we see volume coming in here, heavy volume here, so we should get some kind of release here, and we'll see what happens. This is again very uncomfortable, because I'm seeing my trade just evaporate here on this spike down, and we went almost all the way to 20 ticks up on this trade, and I'm looking at now a break even. So it's really frustrating, and this is not looking good. I was hoping that we would hold the upper side of this, and we still may, but man, that was a deep push, and this has to hold and go or I'm done for. But it's been a fairly choppy day anyway, so to expect a big expansion move at this point is not too realistic, I suppose. That's so freaking frustrating, man. It's like when you want to just kind of yell. I just got taken out, break even, on 20 tick trade. This went all the way to 18, and I don't know, maybe I should have taken it off at this high tick here. I mean, that definitely makes sense. That would have been a great exit, but now to take nothing on it is really frustrating. I'm giving it another try. Put in nice absorption here, and now a little imbalance here. It's a little questionable, because how strong could the bulls be if we came up below here and couldn't really move higher? But I still like the context for the long side trade. So either I'm just going to get chopped up here and there's not much volume left in the market, or we are going to get that breakout. But this is probably going to be my last try for the day. Real big volume coming in here now. Hopefully we move to the upside of it and not sellers taking positions, but I'm going to be looking to manage this real tight here. And if we get a break above, then I will be feeling good about this, but it's just it's real choppy, real bouncy, so we will see. I'm going to be looking to not take too much risk on this though, because it could easily rip down. All right, moment of truth again. Lots of moments of truth today. We're right at that volume, came down, touched my entry again, so I want to see this go here. we need to break above and pop and flush these tops here, and it's looking good for that to happen. Next test will be back into this 18 on my last entry, but now I'm probably going to hold this higher, because if we get up into that area, this low volume area is definitely likely to go. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. Now we're back below that volume, so I'm expecting to get probably going to get taken out here, but maybe it will hold. I feel like this is more of a coin flip at this point. I have just like 3 ticks of risk on holding below this volume, but now we're right at it again, so. And I'm out for a loss, 3 tick loss. Well, that's going to do it for me. I missed, let's say, I don't know. I go back and forth on whether or not I mismanaged that or not. 941 was my entry. Had this absorption here and the imbalance up, more fairly significant volume here. And then when we broke down, I told myself that I didn't want to be below this volume, and that's exactly what happened, and I got taken out 99 for a 3 tick loss. And now we've pushed up into the 17, which was looking much, pretty good for the long side trade now. But I'm not likely. I could say it's still valid here to get long, but I'm getting a little frustrated and the volume's getting light anyway, so I am going to call it a day.